tonight, so we're going to table the SRO discussion and the central office lease agreement. We'll table those for now. Any public comments or correspondence? Hearing none from our audience. Peter Haswell?
Tonight's messenger, I should say, there's an article in here about Ruth Bruckner, who won the state title for the 1,500 meter race. So I thought it would be nice to bring that to attention. It's great for the school, it's great for MVU. My son did indoor track the previous 2 years. It's really a grueling sport. You play away every week. You go to UVM and you sit there all day on Saturday, and it's not like other sports like basketball where big crowds come and see you. You're there doing it for your school and yourself. So I think it's really great that she's getting this recognition, and she won a state championship for the school, so that's really nice to see.
Very nice. Hearing no other comments, we'll move on to approval of minutes for February 4th. I can't motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
Eric made the first, second is
Second.
Devin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving February 4th minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 8-0.
Terry, did you say aye?
Abstain.
Okay, so motion carries 7-0.
But I'm looking at being both there and out on those minutes. I don't know if I should fix that.
Yeah, somebody did. It didn't get fixed, but I have a note of it, so we'll make that change, Terry.
Okay, great, thank you. Quiet state.
Let's see, next is the Franklin presentation.
Okay, well, it is my pleasure to talk about tonight. We're going to have a farm-to-school presentation, and if I'm not blinded here, I'm just way over here. Farm-to-school programs help kids understand and appreciate where their food comes from, understand the value of nutrition, and hopefully help them develop healthy eating habits that will last a whole lifetime. Farm-to-school programs can look different in different places. They're implemented differently, but there are usually 3 core elements. They might focus on one or all 3 of those. The key core elements are education, and those are activities around farm, food, health, or nutrition. The second core element is gardening, and the third is procurement and local foods being purchased and served in the school. So tonight, we're so excited to be able to share with you some of the ways that Franklin has integrated those key elements into our classrooms, our community, and in our cafeteria. But before we get to that, I do just want to give you a quick little bit of history. This program started in Franklin about 5 years ago. Annie Wagner came to me one day and she said, there's this farm-to-school planning grant, and I just think this would be really great for the school, and what do you think? And I thought it would be great too, but I said, wow, it all sounds terrific, but you really need somebody who has the passion and the commitment for this. And or else it's not going to be successful and it won't be sustainable. And she thought she was kind of too busy, but her husband thought the same thing, that she was exactly the right person for it. So she agreed 5 years ago. 5 years later, she's still our volunteer coordinator, and she's brought other people on board, but none of the things that you're going to hear about tonight would have happened without Annie. And so we got a planning grant that year, then a little while later we got an implementation grant, and she has been there with the passion and the commitment to keep this program going. And like I said, gotten other people on board, and you'll meet some of those other people tonight. But my honor and pleasure to introduce Annie Wagner and hear about Farm to School. So let's give her a hand.
So thanks. I have with me 3 fourth graders, and we have Annabelle, Jillian, and Jeffrey, and they're gonna say a little something before I start.
Last year we made muffins from squash in our garden, and Annie Wagner made another batch with chocolate chips, and that we have to share.
Okay, so they're gonna serve you some muffins tonight.
Right?
Okay, you can go right out in front actually.
These are from last year.
Last year's squash.
We were hard.
I had, I know everybody was
They
thinking
did
it.
a really good overview, and at first I had.
Oh, she says that now. Earlier she said, I get to do the blah, blah part of the presentation.
I kind of looked back at that grant that we wrote 5 years ago, and it's all kind of grants, and I don't think I need to say all those words, but I think really it stems from, I really thought that we live in this rural agricultural community, and so many kids are just a step removed from that, and I wanted them to understand their community. But I also, I think education also is about teaching our kids to be good humans, and that includes making good food choices, how to make your own food, and what happens afterwards. So does it all go in the trash, or do we learn how to compost and recycle? And so it's kind of, that's how this these grants kind of are focused on. So we're going to share a slideshow that Ross Rulo is going to help me present. So Ross is a,
Sorry.
sorry.
Hold on. It won't stop.
So this is Ross. Ross is one of our sixth graders, and the sixth graders, Joyce talked about really wanting students involved with this presentation, and it's really hard to get kids to come up and say what they really think. And every once in a while, you have them write something or say something that you're like, yes, this is why we do all of this. And so I was trying to capture that. So that's where these sixth graders came in.
So when Annie wanted us to bring some kids into the presentation, she asked the sixth graders to interview some other students from Franklin School. So during chorus time, the people that weren't doing it went down with their computers to the library and interviewed some kids from different grades about the garden. There was a couple of questions for them.
Yeah, and some of it was funny.
Yeah.
Some of it was good. But you had a good time?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, yes, so now here's our slideshow.
Oh, it doesn't want to play. Turn it down. Let's try it again. I swear we tested this like 5 times. That's something. Oh, looks like it's all connected. Try it in a different way. Yeah, I'm so glad I'm here too. Yeah, it just doesn't want to play sound. It is fit the
Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds. And this is Eli. Hi, this is Ross. And this is Max.
This is Addison. And Liliana, and we're interviewing Bella.
And Meredith.
Casey.
Sweet.
And Krista.
Darling.
And I'm like Karina.
Grady.
This is Piper. Emma.
Jeffrey. Okay, so we're going to ask some questions about the school garden. Did you like the school garden? Yes. Why? It provides food for healthy, fresh food for the school.
Yes, I do like the school garden.
Why?
It's fun to go down, plant vegetables, and when you eat at lunch, you know where some of the vegetables came from.
Yes.
Why?
Because I like baking the stuff in the fall with my friends and family.
Because like every once in a while the teachers can like bring us down there and like show it to us and stuff. Because there's food there.
Anything else?
Yeah, and vegetables. And then it's cooking plants.
Why?
Because they like picking the plants.
Well, because it provides fresh, healthy food for the community.
Because there's potatoes and water.
Why do you like the potatoes?
Because you can make french fries.
A good learning experience and it helps my friends.
Because I like food.
Alright, that's a good answer.
I like it because I like that salsa one. Because it lets us help making vegetables and stuff like that and like because you can plant stuff. Well, it makes cafeteria food so the children don't have to eat the same thing each day.
What are your favorite things grown in the garden?
And carrot.
Why?
They're so tasty.
Pumpkin. Why? Because I like pumpkins.
Probably the carrots because like when people pull them out of the ground they look really weird. Onions. They're my favorite vegetables.
Cool.
Why?
Probably the potatoes and watermelon. Why? Because you can make French fries with potatoes and watermelon is good when you're hot. Watermelon and potatoes.
French fries and watermelon. They're not French fries. I'm not French fries. Potatoes.
Tomatoes. Why do you like tomatoes?
Because they make good sauce. Probably the carrots.
Why?
Because I like carrots.
What else?
And
Do you like them cooked?
No.
Do you like them raw?
Because you can make a lot of things with squash. Like mushrooms, cucumbers, carrots.
What were your favorite things to do in the garden? I like watering the plants.
Pick the vegetables. Pick the food, please.
Why?
Because I like to do that. Vegetables and look at like the pathways and walk the path.
Carrots grew well.
Planting the plants and
My favorite things to do in the garden are pick the carrots and plant the tomatoes.
Probably I like to eat vegetables.
what else?
Planting plant stuff because it allows people and the students to learn how to dig water?
I really like planting in the garden and taking the plants out of the garden.
Did you learn anything from the garden?
We learned like how to plant some of the vegetables and stuff.
How plants grow?
I learned to take care of things and plants and animals. That there's lots of animals.
I learned how to plant beets, and I've learned how to plant onions.
I learned how to take care of elephants.
I learned how to plant stuff.
I know sunflowers moving on. I can learn how to garden by like how to use the plants. That they need lots of water and sunlight.
How does growing your own food help keep you healthy?
It's healthier it's healthier than the food that they would have bought from the store because there's less like pesticides.
Because the vegetables and usually like healthy food and stuff.
We'll make sure it's vegetables, it's not like produce.
You're not watching TV and you're doing stuff outside.
It helps keep us healthy because we're not growing like bad foods for us that can give us weight and that can give us bad infections. It's fresh. It's fresh and it's all homemade. It's fresh and it's not fast food.
Because you need food and to survive. You need to be healthy to survive.
Because it's healthy for you and has vitamins.
If we don't grow food that we might not want
Why do you think the school garden is important?
It's important for like the trail that it goes on, and people can like, even if it's not in school day, people can go down and look at it. And I like planting food in the garden.
Make stuff, like the Girl Scouts use them to make stuff for the classes, and then eventually it's not used.
It provides fresh, healthy food for the school, and so the kids can have fruits and veggies.
Because it helps school get food.
Keeps you healthy.
The students get to be part of the community by helping with the garden.
It has healthy stuff.
It provides food for the school. Well, vegetables are healthy. Because it allows kids to do these things and it's also healthy. Because it has healthy food.
I think it's important because it keeps the cafeteria food really good since they can take it and so they don't have to buy it from with real money. Do you think all schools should have a garden?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's
Okay.
yes.
Why?
Because it could entertain the kids, like I said, like having the teachers bring them down and stuff.
Yes.
Why?
Because it's the research for the cafeteria to have places to get vegetables and stuff from.
Oh, you know, just because it's cool and fun.
Could I help you with anything?
A little bit. Yes, they really like to get and pick up. Yeah.
Why?
Because it would be really good because it less money.
Yes. Why? Because some people need fresh, healthy food.
Because all students should be able to have the same experiences with the garden that the random kids do.
Yes. Gardens have vegetables. Vegetables are healthy because they're vitamin A, C, and it helps kids learn how to do different jobs, and it helps kids to eat the healthy food.
It lets you take a few minutes off from schoolwork. Grumpy House there, but even more, I like the pizza sauce and the pizza. That was made from, the pizza sauce made from the garden.
The pizza was good because there was lots of fresh toppings from the garden.
Go see friends, and I got to eat pizza. Cool. And yeah. Pizza. Got pizza. Pizza sauce on the pizza.
Anything else? Oh, okay.
Thank you for your time. Okay, so this last part, Anna Dushai is going to help you with. So we have a challenge. If we can keep that last picture up. Sorry.
No problem.
So we have a really great spot for our garden where we have no shade. We have all the room we want to grow things. We even put some perennials in for pollinators this year with the Girl Scouts. But what's our challenge in it? Well, I bet you can look up at your picture and tell us what you remember is our challenge. We have sunlight.
Make it bigger.
Brought in all the dirt.
Bottom right, just make it bigger.
Water.
So today in class, well, also yesterday, I worked on this picture and my teacher, Mrs. Sullivan, helped me work on it because I didn't really have too much time to work on it at home. And I drew this.
Do you want him to zoom out so you can see the clouds?
Zoom out for now.
And we can, do you want to show the picture of the building first and then show your drawing? So if we can go to slide 178. So this is the picture of the building that Mr. Rouleau and his students at the Essex
Center for Technology.
Center for Technology at Essex built for us. And then if you'll take it into the next slide, is another photograph. You can kind of see the inside. And so you'll show Emmett's drawing now. Emmett can talk about how it works.
There is rain from the clouds, and it comes down in the summer. It rains down on the roof, and there is in the gutters that pipes and bring them into these barrels, and those barrels put the water. Then when you need water, they come out through this. And this is a spout, and this spout has this barrels and this water.
So how do we get it out of the spout? What do we do from there? We turn on our spouts.
We turn it to the barrels and we go the water
So we're pretty far removed from the school, so this lets us collect water as soon as we hook up our system in the spring, and unless it's a dry year, right? Because that happens sometimes. This has been really great. Thanks for listening.
Okay, anyways. My name is Bob Engstrom, and I've been involved in several different schools doing these programs. This has been the best in terms of developing full curriculum, which I looked right up to. But the team that I work with, kindergarten, first and second grade, have done a great job where we've developed. The idea is, so the education component is With a worm bin and a composting system, you have a full ecosystem that is active for students to explore. So we carry through a series of 8 programs that look at what the physical adaptation of worms are to be living in the soil and doing what they do, to the sensory systems and other critters that live with them, and they'll show you also how worms affect their own environment just like we affect ours. And the students all relate how they interact with the environment to how worms interact with their environment. That's a basis. And along the way we do things like bar graphs and writing in notebooks, science, lab reports, and obviously, but the whole idea, then we bring it around about this time of year into wonderful thing of dissecting flowers, seeds, and plantings. So trying to carry through this part of the year of the school that's outside the garden to bring this forward. Anyways, they've done a great job helping us all develop this together. It's not me. So anyway, we got some students here too. They're the stars.
So first we have a couple kindergarten students.
You want me to hold that for a minute?
A couple hungry kindergarten students. This is Aliana and Maisie, and they're going to teach you about the anatomy of a worm, the important anatomy of a worm. First part.
Till now. They have no teeth and no eyes. They get around by feet stomach.
So maybe we should have them guess how many.
It's fun to guess and see.
Yeah, see if they can guess how many.
All right, so after the mouth, school board, what do you think would be next up in the top part of the worm?
What are you thinking?
Brain.
Brain.
What about this part? This is the important part. People have only one of these, but worms have how many? 5
Hearts.
5 hearts. Why don't you tell them the next part? Remember this part? The food goes down into a certain spot to wait for a minute. Where does it go?
To the crop.
To the crop. And where does it go after the crop, Maisie? The stomach, or we call it the gizzard in the worm. And then what's the last very important part, Allie? Tell them so they can hear you.
The anus.
And what happens with the anus?
All the little poop comes out.
And how does that help us, Maisie? How does it help the soil? How does it help the plants to go?
Correct.
And there's your worm right there. Okay, you can see a little diagram up here. One of the the things Paul just did with all of the kindergarten, first and second grade students is they made, what do you call it, Ada? A worm hotel, right? You want to tell them how we built it?
We put sand, dirt, food until we went to the top. And then we put worms in, and then a wet towel. And then we put the cover on.
And why do we put the cover on?
Because they don't like the light.
Worms don't like light. And we left it for about a week.
And then the worms mixed it all up.
So the kids could really see all that work the worms are doing to make nice, healthy soil. All right, now Grady and Harold, our second graders, are going to come up and they're going to tell you about how we put together our worm bin.
So first what you want to do is grab a bucket, but it has to be tall enough to put all the stuff in. So first we put a layer of sand that covers the whole bottom, but it's not like too much. It has to be a thin layer, or else it will be too much. Then you put a layer of wet. And then after you put the leaves, you have to put in some worms, but they actually have a name, they're yours. And then after you put the worms in, you put the food. You can put vegetables and fruit, but at our school we don't, because we had experience with fruit flies. So we only put in vegetables, like lettuce, squash, cucumbers. And then you put in a wet cloth so it blends. And then after you put black tarp over it, because worms lay in darkness. And then you probably put a container or duct tape top over it, just in case of any leaks. And then you normally want to feed water twice a week. And at the end of the school year, bring our worms down. And bring our worms down in castings to fertilize the nice and burn.
Sorry. This ain't powered? No.
My name is Jennifer Wright, and I have the wonderful opportunity to work in the kitchen. And I get all of the wonderful growth out of the garden. That garlic right there is used every single day, and that is what the kids produce. They come up with huge crates full of garlic for us to use. And we integrate that into the food system every day. You guys saw a picture of all of the kindergartners with carrots next to the shed down there. And those carrots came up, were washed, and went straight onto the salad bar. And the kids absolutely love to be able to eat what they picked that morning. Next one. So we take that and we've gone a little further this year. I've had the opportunity to be playing with menus and expand our procurement program and see where we can go from here. So October is National Farm to School Month, and we took that and we went right to the extreme. We took one day every single month, every single week, and we went and we sourced almost every ingredient from a farm here in Franklin County. The furthest farm that I bought from was Montgomery. So it was pretty neat to start trying new things. We introduced pulled pork sliders to the menu. We introduced local hamburger in the form of burgers. We got root vegetables from Riley Road, and the kids have absolutely loved trying and tasting and doing all of the new menu options. And I've been lucky enough that my colleague has 26 years of experience in the nutrition program, and then I get to come in and run with these crazy new ideas, which the kids have welcomed greatly. Pulled pork sliders, which was the first Friday we tried, are now a staple in our menu. The kids love it. They also have added meatball sandwiches, which came out of the October menu, and they're very interested in the feedback and let me try new things on a regular basis. Next month, we're going to try meatloaf for the first time, and that's about a 50-50 response. We've also added the Harvest in the Month program. We are doing local harvest this month. We're doing beef. We've done stuff like goulash. We did our meatball sandwiches from local beef, and we did beef stew. So some of these are really welcome additions. Sometimes the kids are, not so much, but at least they're willing to try it. We've added smoothies to the menu, and wherever possible, we're trying to do something as close to Franklin as we can get it. This time of year, I got to expand to the state, and we do the best we can. We've also renewed our focus. We're going to allocate more and more of our budget as much as we can to local food purchases, and we have started by writing our RFPs, and we are going to source all of our maple syrup going forward from right here in Franklin. So we are putting those RFPs out next month, and then we hope to go a little bit further. We did a Valentine's dinner on Friday with heart-shaped pancakes and real maple syrup, and the kids were pretty excited. So we want to keep doing that and keep their interest up. I don't want to. Then we take all of what's left over and we give it right back to the worm bins in the classrooms. The kids love to come up and get the lettuce scraps, the carrot peelings, and everything we've got left over, and we try and feed them right back and go from there. And then the compost gets worm tailings, go back to the garden. So we are the lucky beneficiaries of having the garden right out the back door. The kids are fantastic to come in and help us prep and give us feedback and new ideas, and we are happy to go ahead and take that to the next level and try and reach out to our community partners and see if we can't get that, get our ingredients right into the kids from right here in the county. And that's about
One thing Jen left out is if they're having any problems with the taste testing and I'm up here, she'll say, Ms. Hakey will try this. And I'll go, oh, I love it. Remember the pulled pork? They did not want to try pulled pork until I was like, it is so good. And it is fabulous. You can't spend too much time here. I can't be up in the cafeteria too much, right? You way too much time up here. I just really want to thank everybody so much. This was a little bit longer presentation, but you can see how much has been done. I mean, when you look at all the things that have been accomplished, over these years and the really positive impact it's had on this school and these kids. And I just really want to thank our students, because it is really hard to get up here and talk in front of people like that. And these kindergartners were up here doing that. I just want to give them an extra hand right now. Really want to thank all of our parents and grandparents for coming out and supporting this tonight. And just while the kids are here, because there's a couple, I was not going to do this, but just really quickly, because some of them are here. When you look at my written report, the walking program, we kicked off, this past winter, our school-wide walking program, and we choose a destination, and this year we're hiking the Appalachian Trail, and we started in Maine, and we got to Vermont, and the 4th grade were our tour guides. And so when we get to a destination, they teach all the rest of us about the place, even Vermont. And our 4th grade were the tour guides, and they did a really super job with a PowerPoint presentation and presenting slides on the history of Vermont and some fun facts about Vermont too. And some of our 4th graders are here tonight, so I just want to tell you guys again what a fabulous job you did with that. And also, some of them here, Mrs. Wilson and I were so excited because we got our chess club kicked off. We have almost 30 kids in grades 3 to 6 playing chess. And we have a few MBU students coming back to help us because Mrs. Wilson and I are not very good chess players. And so they can come back and help give our kids more of a challenge. And some of our chess players are here tonight. And open invitation, 3 to 4 on Mondays. If anybody here is good at chess, we would love to have you come and participate. So again, thank you to all of our parents and kids, so wonderful. And before you guys go, please help yourselves to cookies and cheese and crackers. Julie asked me if I was going to sit at the table or if I'd be busy passing out cookies, and I am going to try to pass out some cookies, so excuse me. But I don't know, do you guys have any questions for Ashley or Bob or Jen or Annie?
Very nice.
Amazing.
Amazing, Julie said. Great. Yes? Emma's got a question?
It was awesome.
It was awesome. You think that's what they should be saying? It was awesome. Well, they've got to get on to their next thing, so thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
I've never had a garden this watermelons like that.
No way.
I know, right? Or cantaloupe, or
I can't grow carrots.
I try, but it doesn't work.
Carrots burn out.
I do really good for the first couple of weeks, and I like forget to water it where they go. Whoops.
I have a hard time with the flowers on the back deck. Right?
Yeah, right. I know. Yes.
All my kids were into those.
Okay, so we'll move on to new business, drug and alcohol policy first reading. This is actually a policy that we have, we just determined that we added one line. So this will be the first reading.
Great, so Chris let me know that the board was looking to add a line to the current alcohol and drugs policy C2 that stated a student who represents a substance to be an illegal drug, regulated substance, or alcohol shall be found to be in violation of this policy. And so I sent that out to administration. I didn't get any feedback one way or the other on that. I believe represents the student to make sure. So we can go ahead and warn it for adoption in March. Should be very well.
It's what I was looking for.
I just have one question, and it doesn't have to do with that. I was just wondering where the, like, tobacco products and vaping and all that, where does, that's not in this policy, is it in another policy?
Yes, there's a tobacco policy.
Okay. I assume there was. I just was wondering.
Not allowed to do that either.
I assumed that was the case.
Geez, can't have any fun in school anymore.
Just double check to see what policy it is.
I can never get on board. It's like hit or miss. Yeah, there's a room for us.
Let's see.
Oh, it was kicking.
Look into that, Peter, and get back to me. I know it's against our procedure in America because it's against law. And by federal law, but state law. All tobacco products and vaping are prohibited on any school. That's adults and students. There's a general tobacco prohibition. It's not specific to students. It's a general policy.
Any other questions, concerns? Hearing none, we will revisit this in the next meeting. The financial report was handed out due to package rates. We are moving information's been passed out. If there's no questions,
The only thing I wanted to mention is I am meeting with administration this week in every building and going over their current year finances and kind of first look at the proposed budget with them too, is, just trying to get them on understanding exactly what is included in that district-wide, not just only in their building. And there is I don't know if anyone's heard, but I just wanted to mention I had explained to you that we were going to ask for a little bit of a hiatus in spending for a few weeks, and that we're there at the end of this week, and it will be over break in about another week after. It's not a freeze. It's just a little break in spending to allow the business office to work through some of those accounting issues due to the chart of accounts and the merged budget. So then we'll be back on track.
Are we still on budget for our current fiscal year?
And the budget is in good shape. I'm not concerned about that at all. It's more just the cleanup and the streamlining of the charges and adapting to those chart of accounts. It'll allow us some time to do that without, the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of transactions happening at the same time. Yeah, and we gave them enough notice. Hopefully over break, it's not that much of an inconvenience for them. Yeah.
Did Terry just say something?
Terry?
Mark? Yeah.
Did you have something? Or?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I was just saying I could hear Laura really well. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Nice and loud.
Yes, good, thanks.
Any other questions for Laura?
And you're welcome to email me or call too.
Hearing none, let's see, we are on to future meeting dates. So the next MDSD board meeting will be March 5th, 6:30 at the Peggy Elementary School. The MDSD budget public information meeting will be February 25th, 7 p.m. MDU library, MDU school library. And the next support personnel negotiations committee meeting with the association is March 4th at 6:30 at MDU. The board will be at 6 at the MDU conference room. And at this point, we would entertain a motion to go to executive session for interviews.
Make the motion.
Second? Steve was the first. Second?
I'll second.
Jen was second. Any discussion?
Yeah, if I could, Chris. I guess I had a little bit of reservations around doing the interviews tonight, just because we had set up that committee to provide the feedback, the staff and the community members. And my concern is that if we go in to this executive session and conduct interviews and come out with a decision, then we've essentially kind of short-circuited that process that we had put in place to do this interview process. We kind of set it up to allow them to provide the feedback to Julie, to let that factor into the decision, and then have Julie make the recommendation to us. And I guess I'm still wanting to stick to that process that we agreed on. And so executive session to discuss a recommendation, I think, is something that I could support, but in terms of conducting the interviews, I guess I'm not there. I don't know if there are other thoughts on that.
I did have a question. I should wait till executive session. I guess regarding the candidates, if we were going to go with our first choice, then there was discussion about reposting that position.
And that would be part of the board discussion tonight. We were always going to meet with the final candidate. The committee recommended an initial candidate, and there was discussion about the other two finalists, and that the committee, the majority of the committee, felt comfortable with either of the other two as their second candidate. And we discussed, it took our first candidate a while to make a decision, and it was taken very seriously. I certainly understood the decision that she made. Chris and I discussed next steps and whether me to
Can you
bring,
put that mic closer to you? You're a little farther than mine.
no, whether you wanted me to bring
Oh,
a
that's much
single
better.
candidate or both candidates to the board to meet and then discuss, and obviously I'll still have a recommendation. And the board had a committee member on that whole committee, and she will have a recommendation, I'm sure, as well. And then we would expect, as always, the board to then make a decision whether to hire one of the two finalists or whether to open up open up the search again.
So I guess I'm not sure why we have the need to interview both candidates with the board then, because I think if we're gonna meet the finalists for final approval, then that's fine, but I think we need the recommendation first rather than interviews, because I don't think we should be selecting that finalist. I do think that's something that we would want the recommendation from the superintendent on.
I'll take the responsibility for this. I was the one that wanted to bring both ahead because of the short timeline. Didn't have a lot of time to meet with the committee because we got the decline from our first choice. And then the committee did put forth that they had two other candidates that they thought were qualified. They had a first choice. We went and pursued that, didn't work out. These two were their second choice. And I didn't feel it was fair for me to pick. I wanted the board to pick between the two. Because their qualifications are on par. You know, it's not like one's got 10 years of experience as a principal, the other doesn't.
Yeah.
So, given the information from the committee, I felt that better have both come forward than one.
Okay. I guess I understand that. I guess I don't know that it's our role to pick between the two. I think, to me, it's the superintendent's role to make the recommendation and us to question and her to defend that decision. So I guess that's probably where we're out of
There's
sync.
more that we'll discuss in the session that I can't say. There's more to.
I guess my only, the concern that I have about this is I'm concerned whether we're violating the open meeting law because we did not give the public an opportunity to, even though we're going into executive session, the public is supposed to have an opportunity to know that we're conducting interviews. That, I mean, we put it on the agenda tonight. We're supposed to have an agenda posted. And if we add something like that, I guess I would just like to know if that is, because we're not supposed to take action on anything that wasn't warned on the agenda. So if we do this, we really shouldn't be taking any action on as far as making any decisions because we haven't warned it.
Employment issues, making a decision about a public officer is something that's appropriate for executive session. However, I certainly understand your perspective around the lack of time to post an amended agenda.
Is that any clear violation? That, like, I think Peter's concern, correct me if I'm wrong, was that we were we're missing something, like a critical step. Are we in violation of anything?
I wouldn't say you're in violation of anything. I think that you then have the decision as a board to say, we're not going to take action because this wasn't publicly posted on an agenda. It was just an amendment. And you could ensure that the decision was done in March 5th. Not that you couldn't give the superintendent direction. So that's a possibility. Is that what you're
Can I offer amendments so we can just vote and see where the pleasure of the board lies? To amend the motion to be to enter executive session to discuss the superintendent's recommendation on the employment contract, rather than interviews.
Someone,
I understand. Like, we can deal with that, I'm sure.
So you would like a motion to amend the motion to your.
To amend it to say to enter executive session to discuss the, I guess, superintendent's recommendations. So it would mean not doing interviews.
But we have people here to interview.
We would have to, unfortunately, reschedule or cancel those, I guess, would be the impact. So that's the consideration for the group. That's what I like to, I think we just.
So we have a first for amending the executive session for discussing the superintendent's recommendation for Peggy Principal. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Discussion on that.
Does there need to be a decision made? Is that what the concern is?
My concern was originally the just the structure of the board stepping into the role of making the choice when we had established the process of the committee that got together, that weighed in to provide feedback to the superintendent, and the superintendent provide the recommendation to the board to make the decision. So I don't want the board to then basically take over the whole process and just be the interviewers and decision makers when those others were set up to have those earlier steps in the process.
Now, it's my understanding the committee already interviewed all three candidates, correct? So the committee's already done that.
Yeah, so then do we need the additional interviews, or based on that, can we just simply address the recommendation at this point?
Okay, so if, say, the person that we originally picked said yes, she would have come to the board for an interview.
And I'm fine interviewing the final person as a final okay. But right now we're talking about choosing between two.
May I ask so Chris, you had mentioned that there was a timing concern, just being able to get the committee back, and that possibly placing us at a disadvantage. Like, what if we don't do the interviews as planned? What sort of disadvantage would that put us at, other than?
Pool shallows. Because our first choice, we lost to another school, competitive. And our next two choices are also finalists at other schools. So keep kicking the can down the road and we'll get shallower job. So, I mean, no disrespect, I'm not trying to come off flipping or anything like that. It's just the longer we push this out, you know.
And I guess I'm just wondering if we, can't we make the decision still, but based on the superintendent's recommendation and that discussion rather than the interviews, just to keep our process in place?
I always thought it was the board's decision
The final decision.
that there was a committee to do the screening.
To screen it down. That's because that's how, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I was on the superintendent search, that's what we had. I was on the committee, we narrowed it down, and we were able to put forward. We actually had interviews for two people that we brought forward. And then the board chose from those.
That's right.
And that's because the superintendent reports to the board.
Right.
The principal's hired.
By
reports to the
statute,
superintendent.
right, by statute, the superintendent brings a single candidate to the board for the hire. Absolutely. Chris, if it came up in a prior board meeting, you have to ask the board, you may want to do this in a certain circumstance. And Chris and I discussed it on Monday. And we kicked around all kinds of ideas. And this was the idea that was proposed. So, call the team.
And can I to be devil's advocate, is so strictly adhering to a process worth us possibly losing one, if not both, candidates.
My concern is really for those people who participated in the process, the staff members and the community members. I don't want them to, at the end of this, look at it and feel like, what part did they really play? They spent the time to do all that, and then the board just took candidates into a room and came out with a decision. So
But they are candidates that committee had reviewed and interviewed.
yeah, and so that and the process that we set up allowed their input to then feed into the superintendent's decision-making process, which that would then come to us. But this kind of feels like a short circuit on that, to where we're probably just going to weigh our interview tonight instead of the other earlier steps.
So are we ready to vote on the amendment to the original? Or is it a work session? Hearing none,
I'm
all
sorry,
those,
I don't quite understand the amendment that we're voting on. Is that we don't go into executive session?
that we do go into executive session, but instead of going into executive session to interview candidates, we're going into executive session to discuss the recommendations from the committee and the superintendent.
Oh, okay. So is that instead of or in addition to?
Instead of.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Are we ready to vote? Second, so all those in favor of going into executive session or amended to listening to the superintendent's recommendation from the hiring committee, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Okay, ayes, raise your hand. Terry, what's your vote?
You know, I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, just from what I'm seeing or what I didn't quite hear every word or anything. So I think I got it abstained because I'm not clear enough.
Okay, so and then noes. 3-3-1. And Jen, what was your vote?
Can I just say one thing, and I probably should have said this earlier, and I know, I completely understand what Devin's saying, but we do have 2 people coming, and I know that there's a lot of schools out looking for principals right now. Would it be okay if, when we go into executive session, since they're coming anyways, instead of turning them away, do possibly a meet and greet and tell us a little bit about yourself and why do you want to be the Highgate principal? Give a quick little blurb so that you guys can get a little bit of feeling about people, and then give them like a short 10 or 15 minutes and then discuss, have them leave and then discuss with Julie the recommendation of that person, and then have the next person come in. So it's kind of like a dual thing. We're not really interviewing the person, but just a little something from them so you guys can.
Feels like an interview.
Well,
I think we have to.
Instead of doing interview questions.
In order to do that, we would have to amend his amendment to do that, because that's
well, I don't.
an area of interview.
I'm just trying to be fair all the way
I
around,
I would just say that if that's your intention, then my amendment is not that. So.
Your amendment is to solely not even have to talk to them and just.
Right. So if that helps you form a vote, then I think
Because right
that's.
now we're in the 3-3-1.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Just guess I'm trying to be a little too fair all the way around.
Can I, because I'm one of those villains that could make a difference in this vote too, Jen.
I'm sorry, what, Terry?
I'm trying to figure out, what is the concern here? Okay, we've got 2 people that we were going to interview because the first person isn't taking the job, right?
Right.
Yes.
And a lot of that's just really competitive right now. And so what was Devin's concern? That the committee made a recommendation and that we should go with it, but I don't quite understand that. Versus it's really up to the superintendent, not the board. So what's really what's causing this dilemma? Do we want the superintendent to make the choice, or do we want to honor what another group did? I don't quite understand.
Devin correct me if I'm wrong, but Devin feels that we've gone around the search committee by having interviews and selecting from 2. Generally, your interview committee makes a recommendation with the superintendent, and they bring forward 1 finalist to the board. Because we're doing this a little differently, he feels that we bypass the intention of the committee.
Okay, and I'm recalling, is Don there? Don Collins at the meeting?
No, I spoke with him today, but he's not here. So
Isn't he the one that asked you to bring both of them to the committee?
He
To the board?
suggested that we may want to do it if you're in this circumstance. But he's not here to vote either, so.
The committee does have a recommendation, correct?
The committee gave input, I made it very clear that I was going to be making the decision about who to bring to the board, which I did with the previous candidate. And we had a discussion that we were comfortable with the other two finalists should the first candidate not come. So that was clear to the candidates and to the committee. And again, we discussed giving an opportunity for the board to meet and interview and using the word interview loosely, but to meet and get to know and ask questions of the candidates. And that I will obviously have a recommendation as well.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it up to Jen to decide, because she's right there.
Julie, will this replace, so.
I would really like for Julie to make the decision personally, but anyway.
And I'm happy to do that, except for we have two people here.
I know, I can't.
Okay. Well, if I was gonna say anything, I'd say let's just go with what was originally planned. So my vote would be, I don't know what is yes or no, but it's go with what the original agenda was.
So that would be an
interview to meet them, and then to meet together in executive session.
So you're no to the amendment?
I feel I'm sorry, I'm not, the nonverbals, and I'm not really quite clear about the amendment, but I would say that we do talk to the two people, that we don't send them away.
So you're for the interview?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be a no. So now we're 3-4. You dead hasn't voted yet.
I'm not going to look at you.
So no, I won't get stoned when I
Right. Yes, that's tied.
4-4 fails.
Okay. So I guess your amendment fails. So now we're back to the original motion of whether to go into executive session for the purpose of interviews for the next. Any more discussion or?
Did you abstain? Tamara just needs the vote
Right.
count, and we're trying to figure out what that is.
Okay, I'm gonna go with, in fairness to the people coming, I'm gonna vote with staying with the original.
So the amendment fails 3-5.
I do have.
Okay, back to the original motion. Any more discussion?
Then I apologize if this was better fitted for the last discussion, but so regardless of how this plays out, we have one final candidate that comes. If they had accepted our offer, they would be coming. We would be doing this question, answer, and so on.
Yep.
If we are doing this evening with these two folks, is that going to replace that, or are they going to come back after they have an actual offer?
I would expect it would replace that, but if the board wanted them to come back again for a broader, we can discuss what we wanted to do next.
I was thinking with the, as timing was an issue,
I would
if we're going
expect,
to.
there should be a community component to meet the candidate and so forth as well.
Okay.
But there would be discussion with the board on the offer, correct? I think that's what she's saying.
What?
Is that what you're saying?
What? I'm sorry.
Make a decision on the finalists. That offer goes to that candidate. And then the board discuss what the contract would look like as far as
You would have
salary
final-
range and all these things.
You would have final contracts.
Right.
Mine was if the candidate would be having to come back, because if our original had accepted, they would be coming to us, post accepting an offer. So my question was, does this evening kind of supersede that, where, you know, if we put out an offer to one of these two, they accept, do they then have to come back and go through a more formal?
Typically not, because if the first candidate, and I'm sorry that this is coming out in such a confusing way. The first candidate, it was, we want to bring you to the board for the final, you know, so I don't say you're hired, I say we want to move you forward. So that's what would be happening here, unless you choose to do something else after meeting people.
I don't think it would be necessary, would it, to do one more time?
I don't think so, but I don't know, I don't
It
know
was
the
my
law well enough
expectation
or
that this
anything
would
like that.
replace that.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking.
So, all those in favor of going into executive session for the purpose of interviewing for,
Did you get a first and second?
Huh?
Did you get a
Yes.
first and? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Steve and Jen.
Okay.
All those in favor of going into executive session for the purpose of interviewing for the Highgate principal, inviting in Julie and Robert, because he's doing a technical, right?
I'm just gonna make sure she's connected. I'll be happy to stay if you want me to, but
You may
Go.
want to
Thank
stay
you.
in
I'll stay
the
in
lobby.
Stay in the building.
Sure.
But in the executive session, we just Julie.
Okay.
Sorry, Robert.
No, you're taking me with you next year, right?
So, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
2 noes. What was your vote, Terry?
Yeah, aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-2.